Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. I hope you enjoy. The Tropper, written by Mean Gator. This is it. The battle was about to begin. If we lose, this would be the battle to end all battles. If we won, the onslaught will be continued without ending on the horizon. Our Savar wasn't genocidal. A slave of civilization needs its slaves. If we lost, we would survive as a species, but what makes us human would not. We would be slaves with crushed spirits, bred to serve our conquerors. We fought each other like demons, but the slavers were more numerous, though slightly less advanced. We fought them as no one had fought before. We earned their respect, but they couldn't allow us to win the fight. It would mean the end of their way of life. So we fought. System after system, planet after planet, moon after moon, asteroid after asteroid. It was a numbers game, and we just haven't them. Slowly, and on they pushed. They paid an unholy price for every inch of space taken away from us, but they kept pushing. Their losses were immense, but they had numbers. We didn't. They kept pushing until there was no other place to go for us. Their invasion fleets were devastated, but so were ours. Their jumping technology was inferior. They couldn't jump deep in our sun's gravity well. They jumped at Pluto's orbit. Saturn, Jupiter, and Mars were on the other side of the sun, and that was both good and bad for both. They have superior numbers, but not enough to attack us from both ways of the ecliptic, so they jumped to a distance of Neptune's orbit vertical to the ecliptic plane. On the side of Earth, we couldn't use Saturn's, Jupiter's, and Mars's fortifications, but we hadn't to worry for them either. They couldn't jump deep in the sun's gravity well, but we could. If needed, we could support defending them, but this would divide us, and the numbers were bad. Really bad. In the end, the Savar's fleet decided to attack Earth directly. If they won, the rest of the intersolar colonies would have no other option than to surrender or go in a suicidal boom. But humans, in general, don't do that. Dum spiro sparrow. As long as I breathe, I hope. Do you know the story of Pandora's box? Actually, it wasn't a box. It was a pithos, a large jar. Pandora opened the jar and all the evils spilled out into the world. Frightened, she closed the jar, but it was too late. Only Elpis, hope, remained in the box. Have you ever questioned yourself about the real meaning behind the story? I had, and to me the answer was very simple, very straightforward. If hope is something good, then why was it placed in the jar with all the evils? For me, hope is the evilest of all evils. The Savar won, then what makes us human would be forever crushed. We would survive as a species, but we wouldn't survive as humans. Our fleet yards would work day and night to build more ships, not only to make our last stand, but to continue to fight. Our Savar weren't fools. Their lines were stretched to their limits, but their war machine wasn't set on idle. Even if they failed, they would have numbers to restart the fight. We devastated their initial invasion fleet, but at the end, all we had were one carrier with 200 fighters, one hastily repaired battleship kept by duct tape and the wool of its crew, 3 battle cruisers, 5 cruisers, and 30 frigates and corvettes. In the end, we revived something from our history books, a gunship, having the triple size of an attack bomber carried with the speed of a fighter and the punch of a frigate. 1-1-1. It hasn't a chance in hell against an enemy ship larger than a frigate, but they were relatively cheap to reduce, and they could stand the punch of enemy fighters and bombers. Truth is, we need more than 30 of them to take down an enemy super battleship, but their role was not to take down capital ships, was to devastate the enemy fighters and to weaken the larger enemy warships. We built thousands of them. They gutted the enemy and fought the good fight, but in the end only 150 of them were left. The Savar have 3 super battleships, 10 battleships, 15 battle cruisers, no heavy or light cruisers were left, and about 200 frigates and corvettes. Their carrier have not survived the invasion, but all of their ships were equal or larger to a battle cruiser, hosted its share of fighter squadrons, or what was left of them. Their troop carriers waited in the conquered systems 3 jumps away. human ships could jump further than the enemy and have the ability for intra-system jumps. So it was not safe for troop carriers to be near the battle, should the unthinkable for the enemy happen. As I said, the Arsava were no fools. It was bad. It was very bad. Without the gunships, we would stand no chance in hell, and even with them, our chances were just slightly larger than infinitesimal. We, the crews of the gunships, bombers, and fighters, knew that we were cannon fodder. We would fight and give our lives just to harass and weaken the enemy, just to buy time for our warships. Gunships would have gone first to protect bombers and fighters from what was left of the enemy fighter squadrons, and then split. Gunships to attack their super battleships, and bombers to attack their lighter warships. It was a good tactic as it could be. Their frigates and corvettes couldn't stand the attack of the gunships and the bombers, and used concurrently as cannon fodder to protect their heavy ships or what was left of our heavy ships. We'd go first, take as many of the ships with us as we could, and die in the hope that we thinned the enemy fleet enough so that our heavier warships have a chance to win the day. A slight chance, it was better than we could hope. A gunship have a crew of 5. We knew that we would die, but there was no chance in hell to go quietly into the night. We would draw blood until we couldn't. Guys, are you ready? Gunner 1 go, Gunner 2 go, Gunner 3 go, Engineering go. We waited the order, each one lost in his thoughts. We have said our goodbyes, we've kissed our wives and children, and we went to fight. In ancient Sparta, the mother or the wife of the warrior gave them a shield saying, "With it or on it." We knew that we wouldn't survive the fight, and even if humans won, there would be nothing of us left to bring to our homes by our comrades. We would die as humans in order for the rest to survive as humans. I got the order in my comm line. "This is it, guys. It's really an honor." "Same here, Cap," said Johnson. "Gunner number 1. Lewis, it was indeed a beautiful friendship." Masterson, Gunner 2, an avid Casablanca fan. We would always have Paris at Peppers and Anastasia, Gunner 3, and also an avid Casablanca fan. "Play it again, Sam," I ordered, smiling our engineer. He pumped up the volume, and on we charged. "You'll take my life, but I'll take yours too. You'll fire your musket, but I'll run you through. So when you're waiting for the next attack, you better stand. There's no turning back." The bugle sounds as the charge begins, but as the battlefield, no one wins. The smell of acrid smoke and horses breathe as you plunge into certain death. The horse, he sweats with fear, we break to run. The mighty roar of the Russian guns, and as we race towards human wall, the screams of pain as my comrades fall. We hurdle bodies that lay on the ground, and as the Russians fire another round, we get so near yet so far away. We won't live to fight another day. We get so close, near enough to fight, when a Russian's get me in his sights. He pulls the trigger and I feel the blow. A burst of rounds takes my horse below. And as I lay there gazing at the sky, my body's numb and my throat is dry. And as I lay forgotten and alone, without a tear I draw my parting groan. End of story. Story number 2. We Did It Ourselves, written by British Tea Company. "Me are most impressed," Emperor Sephriel commented as he walked through the skeleton of a proud city undergoing its rebirth. "There are few things that I admire more than determination, or the sheer will to battle on against impossible efforts. Your efforts of defeating those loathsome colonizers, even with the odds stacked against your people, shows little but your true underlying strength." "I am glad you approve," General Edwards said as he casually leaned against the wall. 20 years, 20 goddamn years that we fought against the alien freaks. Glad that we can call Earth our world again. It does me proud knowing that our boys were willing to lay everything on the line to make sure we got our dues. Your men lack nothing when it comes to character. To say that they could measure themselves against our own warriors would be an excellent statement to make in regards to their ability. What bothers us, however, was your choice in this conflict. This war has cost many lives. In the beginning, we had told you about the depths of our power. We had demonstrated towards you the limitless power and the eternal army, and the infinite ability of our personal self. Why then, did you refuse the aid that we could easily save countless lives and won you your war? When you first appeared out of the portal, some of us here thought that you were a second coming of Christ. Well, the second coming of Christ, who is perhaps a bit more metal than the first time around. Normally, when someone tells me that there is some immortal space wizard, I tend not to take them very seriously. Of course, given the circumstances which we met, I understood you meant every word that you said. I get that you're some space wizard who's a god emperor of some empire in another universe where humanity is the top of the food chain. Chances are, I'm willing to bet, that you could have just lifted a finger and erased most of the aliens from existence. It is well within our capacity. What is not within our understanding is your stubborn refusal to our power. Was it honor that motivated your actions? You had spoken about it during your battles, as respectable of a trait as it happens to be. There are times when ideals begin to cost lives. It costed lives, I know that. If I had taken your help, I could have had space wizards and space dragons rampaging all around the planet until you finished off the last of the aliens. The thing is, once I take help from you, what then? We won the battle against the aliens by ourselves, not because we asked ourselves from a possible future to stomp them into the earth. We won our war on our own sweat and our own blood. I think when I tell my children in the future about how we took on their fancy death rays with our slug shooters, we'll have more to live up to and aspire to than if I told them how we got a few space wizards to magic them out of existence. End of story. I would quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and Patreons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Barky, Lord Azrakal, It's Difficult to Pronounce, Dragzoon WRE, Holly's Sister, Arcadian. Thank you very much.